Jonah Savaiinaea, Arizona right tackle. I guess he might be playing left tackle this upcoming year. I don't know what the expectation is for where he's
So
moving.
it's an interesting one in general, and I think that we need to have a conversation about this, Joe, and I'll give the background after this, but he started every game as a true freshman, or at least I think most games as a true freshman, as the starting guard for them, right? So he's a starting right guard. He started at tackle for the team, but I know there was at least 2 or 3 games down the stretch where Arizona moved him back inside the guard. I watched at least 2
Raymond
games where he was the
Polito
starting.
is listed as the left tackle on our lads.
Is
If that means
Savaiinaea
anything.
listed at right tackle, or is he listed at
Yeah,
guard on there?
right
This is at
tackle.
tackle. Okay. Well, I'm interested to see how they use him, because our lads is obviously a great resource, but things change comparative to what our lad says. But down the stretch of the season, they did play him back at right guard a lot down the stretch. So I'm interested to see full-time switch inside a guard, or if they leave him at tackle. I hope, this is just my urge and my plea to the University of Arizona and the new coaching staff, play this kid at guard. Please just play him at guard for the full year and let him flourish there. Because what?
I accidentally muted my mic. This is in Alabama, though. I don't mean to cut you off. I think a lot of times when you're on a roster that doesn't have as much premier tackle talent, the kid's got to play tackle. Like, he's just going to get called upon to play tackle.
What do you mean? They just had a kid that went in the first round playing left tackle for them last year. Literally,
Yeah, but
just
that's a rarity. That's a rarity.
Well, they might have back-to-back first-round offensive linemen in back-to-back years.
And your best lineman should be playing tackle.
All right. Well,
in
we'll
college.
Have this debate
in college.
We're going to have this debate throughout this episode, Joe, because I think when we get to the negative side of Jonah Savaiinaea, that is what leads me to why I think that he is a better served inside a guard. But so he is of Samoan descent, American Samoa. Okay. Went to St. Louis School, which is a very prominent high school in Hawaii, out on the islands. Okay. So he was out there. He was only rated as a 3-star recruit by everyone. The highest that he was ranked was 247 Sports, that had him rated as a 3-star, and the number 21 interior offensive lineman. On the composite ranking, he was only rated, are you ready for this? Number 600 player in the country, man. So this was not a highly rated kid by services. He obviously ends up picking Arizona, but he only had 7 offers to his name for a offensive lineman this talented, which is very interesting. Arizona, Arizona State, Hawaii, San Diego State, Syracuse, UCF, and UNLV. That was the only offers that he had at the time, which I thought was very interesting, man. I thought there would be a little bit of a longer list, but so St. Louis, for people that don't know, some brilliant players have come out of St. Louis, Joe. I was actually looking this up, and I had this for the show. That's where Tua Tagovailoa went. That's where Tyson Alualu went. That's where the Herbigs went, both Nate and Nick Herbig. Nick obviously was the outside linebacker that was drafted out of Wisconsin a couple years ago. Marcus Mariota went to St. Louis. Olin Kreutz, the former All-Pro center for the Chicago Bears, went there. Dominic Raiola, who of course is the uncle of Dylan Raiola, the 2024 quarterback that is now playing at Nebraska. Chris Fuyamatu Malafala, which is one of my greatest names of all time, man. Absolutely fantastic fullback back in the day. Not actually that good, but incredible name. So St. Louis has had some guys, man, that have gone on to play in the NFL and were very good football players, and Jonah Savaiinaea is the next in that line, it appears.
That's interesting on the background of some of those guys who play there. But to talk about him as a player, similar physical profile to what we're talking about here with Booker. He was listed at 330 pounds, 6'5", massive kid, carries it really well. We're not talking about he's not fat. He's built. He is built like a house. He is very physically commanding when he's on the field. Extremely athletic. I think that he gives me Troy Fautanu vibes in the way of just the easiness. A guy who's playing tackle, just flexible, glides up the field, can get to the second level easy, is somebody who's going to shine when he's called upon to pull, all that stuff. The one thing, and I see the ceiling and I see where he can flourish. And I understand that you want him at guard, but I almost do at times wonder a little bit if he could be a good right tackle in the NFL. But what bothers me, especially if Fautanu is supposed to be playing right tackle for the Steelers. Apparently that was when we talked about post-draft. But one thing that doesn't bother me to the point where I don't think that he won't succeed because of this. But I
Right.
wasn't necessarily in love with him as much as you are, because I think at times he lacks a little bit of pop in his hands. Like I feel like in pass protection, he's never really going to kill someone on a rep. Like he's really never going to just really finish someone off and take them out of a play. He's so fluid and mobile. He's going to keep everybody in front of him, and he's going to, use good footwork and good mobility to get to, get to the next level, as I'm talking about here. But not having that just drive, that really gnarly aggressiveness that comes out of his hands and sometimes in his legs, it concerns me just a hair on his projection, and why I kind of like a few other guys ahead of him.
Just such a bad take, man. Just like
It's not,
actually terrible take. Look, all right, this is going to be one guy that we just see a little, which is funny because we were talking about before the show as far as what you graded him, and you actually have a pretty high grade on him, which I was kind of surprised based upon our general conversation. But Joe, I just don't think that they make, and it's just my opinion based upon experience, I just don't think they make kids that move as well as he does at the size that he is. I mean, you mentioned something, right? 6'5" listed. He's probably more in the 6'4.5" range, but like either way, he's tall. He's a taller kid. 330 pounds should not look like that, man. Like he looks like a bouncer. Like he is just a physically, like he's a bull, dude. He's an absolute bull. Like I just don't see bad weight on that frame, dude. He is just a massively big kid. And a lot of Samoans are just kind of like that, man. Like they're just kind of built that way where you're just like, he's just a stocky, physically imposing dude. But then he moves so well, which is why I think that they've been playing him at right tackle this past year. I think they said that kid just moves too well to put him in at guard. And I get that, right? I get it. But on the next level, I think that you're going to be able to unlock something at guard, dude. Like I agree with you in the fact, I do think that there's a world where he could play tackle in the NFL. I do think that there is. I do.
Yeah.
I think he has requisite athleticism and flexibility and foot quickness that he could play offensive tackle at the next level. I don't think he has great length, though. That's one thing I wrote down. I think it's solid. I don't think it's good length, though. I think it's solid. And I just think that he's not comfortable playing in reverse right now. Could he improve off of another full offseason of playing tackle? Sure, it could happen, right? But the best parts of him, in my opinion, are when he works laterally or to the second level, dude. It is a beaut to watch. It really is. This kid, it just moves uncommonly good for a player his size, and he is a bull. Like when he gets his hands inside of you, he has great latch strength. Like I have seen him. It was one play I highlighted on Twitter. I forget what team it was playing against, but he was working backside on outside zone where he got his hands inside, just washed the dude like completely out of the play on the front side of the play because he just has so much lower body explosiveness based upon his athleticism. So I agree. And I think the one thing we agree on with him is that I do think that he needs to be more aggressive as a blocker at times.
Yes.
I do, because I actually think that the power profile is there. I have seen it in spurts, and I think he's an excellent athlete. I'm telling you right now, this kid is a Pro Bowl offensive guard in the NFL if he is able to take that step, because I think it's all there. I don't really see physically, athletically, what he's missing. What is he missing athletically? Like, I just think it's all there for projection.
I think that where you and I differ in our thoughts on him, we're on the same page with the athleticism. Like that's why my grade for him is so good. But at the same time, and this is seemingly always the way that things turn out when we talk about guys, is that I want to bring up the negative. Like I want to nitpick guys because I think it's something that's not done often. It's really not, and it's also not done effectively. The people that are negative about players are assholes about it, or they just don't know how to do it and have in a coherent conversation. I think, though, that what you're saying with the power, I see it just being good enough. It's good enough where he's not going to necessarily, he's not going to get blown off the ball. He's not getting his ass kicked. Sure. That's not what I'm saying. I just don't see any displacement. That is something that I always get really caught up in and that I love in linemen. This is why I liked J.C. Latham as much as I did. It's why I like Tyler Booker as much as I do. It's why I like Tate Ratledge as much as I do, which will be revealed when we do our guard ranking show. Displacement means everything. And even at defensive tackle, the games I watched him, the 2 games I watched him, there was no displacement. There was no like, oh my God, it was a lot of me watching him going, wow, he can move. And not a lot of, wow, he just knocked that dude like way off the ball. He really just popped that guy. He really just took this defensive end out of the play who was coming for his chest, and he completely knocked him off of his track. Like, I just didn't get any of that.
Can I ask you one question just for the context part of it? Okay. Because one, I think you're this is me making fun of you for a second. Okay. Your bias is SEC offensive lineman. That's what it is. Big body brutes. I'm just kidding, honestly.
Stink.
No, but here's the actual question. Here's the actual question. How much do you blame that on Arizona's style of offense? Serious question.
That's fair. They did kind of have that quick trigger, get the ball out type of an offense,
and they're heavy outside zone ish team. They run inside zone too, of course, but like they run a lot of lateral stuff. Where if we're talking about vertical exertion and being able to work off the line of scrimmage consistently, there's not a ton of that, man. Like there's really not, right? So I would be very interested. You know, it would be fun if I could drop Jonah Savaiinaea onto the University of Georgia next year or to the University of Alabama.
I mean, that could have happened. He just needed to enter the transfer portal, and we could be talking about him and Tate Ratledge playing across from one another.
I'm sure that those conversations were had. Yeah,
he should be at Washington right now. He really should be.
Yeah, but like, would that have fixed anything of what I'm talking about? It would have been the same style of offense. Like, it wouldn't. My point is that I would like to see more of one, inside zone heavy stuff, and two, if there was any gap scheme stuff where we could really get, again, just work the point of attack vertically instead of laterally. Like, I would love to see that type of stuff. I just don't know if we're going to see that. I don't know enough about Brett Brennan. Is that the new coach at Arizona, right?
Yeah, they were really mediocre at San Jose State.
I don't know what his offense schematically is, right? Like, I don't know what he believes in from a run game perspective. I have no idea.
Not final grade, but grade I have on him as of right now. I have a early second on him.
That's fair.
I would take. I think he's going to end up going in the first, but right now I've got an early second on him. He's a little bit behind Booker and Tate Ratledge. Actually, I think when we do these rankings, Savaiinaea might be number 4 for me. He might be behind Emory Jones. Yeah, he might be behind Emory Jones.
I forgot you had Emory Jones listed as a interior offensive lineman. Some people are gonna hate that. They're gonna hate that, I think. But
yeah, Corey, get it right.
Some people are gonna hate it. I have a late first round grade on Jonah Savaiinaea. And when I say a late first round grade, I literally mean that. The lowest possible grade of a first round player that can have. So for some context, that's a late first, early second type of designation, but I do have the first round tag on him right now because again, summer scouting, we're grading against the curve a little bit, right? Because we have a full season in front of us. So there's going to be this is going to be a fluid conversation. Guys are going to get better. Guys are going to get worse. That's how this time of year works. I'm just buying into the upside, man. When I watched him, I was enamored with how athletic he was for his size. So maybe he figures it out. I look like a genius. Maybe he doesn't figure it out and he's just a top 75 kid instead of a first round kid. But regardless, that kid's an NFL offensive lineman. I think he has massive upside.
We'll see what happens. At Joe DeLeone, at Rise and Draft. Hit the subscribe button. We'll be back. Enjoy the rest of your week. Make sure you check out BetOnline for all of your sports betting needs. For anything that I do betting related, I go on over to betonline.ag and I use promo code BELIEVE50. BetOnline has all of the latest updated odds for the NFL and college football seasons. Anything you need, whether it's futures, live in-game betting, no matter what, your football betting needs are met at BetOnline. And again, make sure you use that promo code BELIEVE50, BLEAV50 to get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.